The Swedish Empire was a time of Swedish history where Sweden was at war with many nations. It's probably the most interesting time frame in Swedish history. This is 17th and 18th century, and it all started with the rise of power with Gustavus Adolphus II, which is also known as the Lion from the North, which is pretty much how our album was started as well. The idea that Gustavus Adolphus had when he was starting to expand the Swedish Empire was to control the Baltic Sea and everything around it. This includes that he has to take parts of Germany, Russia, Baltic states and Finland, of course. Why we decided to focus on this for an album? We have been doing a lot of different historical things over the past years in Sabaton history, from old things to newer, recent things, but we didn't really touch Swedish history. Thankfully, Sweden has not been in war for the last 300 years, since the Swedish Empire and the time of Carolus Rex. But this was an interesting thing for us to tell a story about our country for once, and not just telling stories about every other countries around the world. The album was a big success everywhere, but it speaks a little bit more to the Swedish people. Obviously, they understand a little bit better when we sing in Swedish, which is not what we usually do. A lot of people have over the years asked us why we don't do more albums in Swedish, and there's a reason why. We don't find it normal for us to sing in Swedish when we say historical thing about something that happened in Germany, France or England. But when it was happening around Sweden, it felt natural for us to sing it in Swedish. This is one of the reasons why it talks more to the Swedish people. But also why it talks to the Swedish people is, of course, it is our history. It's the history of the Swedish people. We can somehow relate to it. And even if these topics are rarely discussed in school these days, it was for the older generation, or my generation, we could be able to read about these in school.